Okay.
That's my heater. Like, this is terrible. Okay, we don't do that. It's so far away.
All right, gentlemen. Brock, take your hood down, please.
Sits here. I can't sit here.
All right. I can't. I just can't. Okay, so you definitely need your calculators. Have your calculators out. If you need one, grab one. We are definitely using calculators.
Someone sits here. And it's not me.
Lydia got a new seat. Okay, so the law of sines today and the law of, Tommy, turn around. Enough. Law of sines and law of cosines are two new formulas that up until this point you guys can only complete right triangles, okay? Law of sines and law of cosines are really the first things that you can do to complete triangles that aren't right triangles. If you're dealing with a right triangle, you're still going to stick with SOHCAHTOA. But law of sines, which is this right here, A over the sine of A, B over the sine of B equals the C over the sine of C, you'll really only use two of the three of those to set up a proportion and just cross multiply and solve. So in a triangle, if you know, and you can just draw any triangle ABC, lowercase a is the side A, so that would be the side opposite A. That's 24. And the sine of A is 2/3. So they're not telling you A here. They're telling you the sine of A is 2/3. So I can't really label my triangle anything. Lots of times they'll tell you the angle A, but here they're actually giving you the sine of A value. They're also giving you the sine of B value, but asking you to find side B. So really we're just using these two sections of your proportion. Side A being 24 goes over the sine of A, which is 2/3. And then side B is what we're looking for. Goes over the sine of angle B, which they told us is 1/4. And you just cross multiply and solve. So 1/4 times 24 is 6. And then 2/3 B is 2/3 B. And then you don't really divide both sides by 2/3. You multiply by the reciprocal. 6 times 3 halves is 18 halves. And 18 halves is 9. So side B is 9. Good? Easy. You like it? No, it really doesn't. The law of sines is pretty nice. This proportion, by the way, just like any proportion, it could be flipped upside down. All your sine values could be on the top and all your side lengths could be on the bottom. So if you misremember that, yeah, it's pretty easy. This one just gives you the angle measure, so we'll have to do a little bit more just by, we actually will have to hit the sine of 130 degrees as opposed to up here they told us what the sine value was. So triangle DEF Are you guys familiar with that apostrophe? That just is like, that's feet. Like if just in measuring. So that's a D is 130 feet. Angle D is 39 degrees. Angle E is 65. Now they're asking us to find F. So they want us to find this right here. So we have one pair that's an opposite angle, opposite side pair. We have an angle but not the opposite side, and we're looking for the side but we don't have the opposite angle. But just because 3 angles of a triangle add up to 180, we can figure out this one pretty easily. So 180 minus 39 minus 65, we'll leave this with a 76, which really is all we needed that 65 for. So your 130 over the sine of 39 equals your side F over the sine of 76. what mode should your calculator be in, because you may have to go back and forth here. Figures, right, Jared? If your angles are in degrees, your calculator's got to be in degrees. So 39 degrees and 76 degrees. So just make sure you're in the right mode. And then cross multiply 130 times the sine of 76. Gives you 126.1. There's more to that. I'm going to round just for the sake of writing it on my paper, but on my calculator I'm going to keep the exact same thing. Right, like right now, like I'll show you. Right now when I do sine of 39 times f, and I'm going to divide both sides by the sine of 39, I'm not going to retype into my calculator 126.1. I'm going to use the number that's there. So I'm not technically rounding. On paper I am, just to save time writing, but I'm taking that exact answer and dividing it by the sine of 39. So, and then yes, at the very end, 200.4. I'm pretty sure if I did 126 well, it depends on the problem, but if I did round that 126.1, it actually wouldn't make a difference here because they both happen to go to 0.4, but you can see that in some cases it would make a difference if you rounded too early. So general rule of thumb is never use a rounded answer to make follow-up calculations. Always use the exact. Good? Any questions on that? And then in a parallelogram, so you gotta obviously know a few things about a parallelogram. Number one, how to label the corners. Because there is a wrong way to do this that when you're in geometry you have to be trained not to do. Like a lot of kids will do this and this is incorrect, so don't write this down. A, B, C, D. Why is that wrong? Yes. You have to stay in one rotation round. So once you start with A and you decide to go B, you have to go C and then D. You have to kind of go around clockwise or counterclockwise. So BC is 14. Oh, the longer diagonal AC, of course I did. Oh, that is, that's all right. Yeah, it won't matter with my calculations. It's not going to be drawn to scale, but nothing usually is in geometry. So I'm just going to label that 24. And CAB is 35. Find angle B to the nearest degree, which we have everything we need. So what would that setup look like, Maya? Start with some side and opposite angle pair that you know, and there's only one of them. 14 is your side over the sine of 35, right? Equals, and then what's the side you're looking for, or what's the other side? 24 over the sine of angle B. Yes? So cross multiply again, 24 times the sine of 35. Again, I'm rounding just for the sake of writing it on paper. 13.8 equals 14 times the sine of B. Bean, what would come next? Well, I'm trying to solve for B. So I'm trying to get B all by itself. So what's the first thing I have to get rid of that's with the B? The 14. So you're going to divide both sides by 14. And again, I'm not doing 13.8 divided by 14. I'm going to do that number divided by 14.98. And then what do I do, Maddie, to find B? How do you separate a sine from a B? Would you like to phone a friend? Who? Say it, Brock. I want you to say it for the sake of everyone learning from it. Don't you just by. That would be true if this was sine times b. But sine is not a number. You can only divide by numbers. Sine is not a number. Sine is like a functionality. Inverse sine. If you're you did? Good. Good job. So if you want to get the b all alone, you take the inverse sine of both sides. So it's the inverse sine of that 0.98 number that will get you angle B. And again, it's not 0.98, it's this one. So inverse sine on your calculator is second sine, and then I usually just scroll up and select whatever exact number I was looking for. So nearest degree is 80. Good. Is that it? That's it. Well, we got 79.5. Did you do the inverse sine of the exact? Right, and so sometimes it'll cause you an error, sometimes it won't. Obviously, it just caused a mistake on that one if you round too early. Never round until the very end. I will let you definitely round just to write down numbers, but when you do it on your calculator. Okay? Easy? Are you happy with this, Allie?